Hey y'all, my name is Mick. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you'd rather just watch the speed paint version, I will put a link in the description and an eye in the sky right now. Folks, it's the end of the year, so that means every artist YouTuber is crawling out of the woodwork to tell you about their goals for the new year, and I am no exception. I typically don't have goals or New Year's resolutions, and when I do, they're not art related. The only one I can think of is in 2016, maybe. I wanted to draw one picture a month. Probably the only art goal I've ever had. Until this year! I've been thinking about this a lot and honestly working towards achieving these goals since October, because there's no reason to wait until January to start trying to better yourself. You can do it anytime. And I wanted that time to be in October. So, my first and biggest art goal, I want to start tabling at conventions. Now, before anyone starts to tell me that that goal is too lofty, please hear out this whole segment because tabling is sort of my goal, but also it's not really my goal. Hold tight. I've never really seriously considered tabling before now. I've been to conventions and crafts fairs and things, and have actually done quite a bit of research into tabling just because, as a concept, it interests me, but I had never seriously considered it for myself. But a few months ago, I was looking at some of my art and was seriously considering getting it printed just so that I could have it and hang it up on my wall or something. And then it hit me. If I, the biggest critic of my own art on the entire fucking planet, want to buy my own art, then it's conceivable that other people might want to buy it as well. And because this revelation was right on the heels of the end of the summer con circuit, I was hearing so many people talking about their experiences with working conventions, and I thought, I could do that. I want to do that. So, ever the downer, I tried to take a realistic look at my own art to see if it was something that I could or should sell. Because even though I would buy my art, and that's a pretty big test to see whether or not you should sell your art, I still think that there is a much higher standard for things that you intend to sell versus things that you just put online. And you know what? In general, my art doesn't meet that high standard that I have. I'm not saying my art is terrible because it's not. I'm not fishing for compliments or unnecessarily bashing my art or anything. I know that I'm not terrible, but I also know that a majority of the time I'm not making work as good as it could be. And I'm not saying that I'm cutting corners and lowering the quality of my art because I'm not. I just tailor my art for the medium through which it is dispersed. You know, painting a bust with an incredibly simple background is fine when my only plan for that piece is to put it on Instagram. That serves its purpose very well and doesn't need to be anything more than that. And some of those pieces are the pieces I'm most proud of because they show off my technical skill and the things that I excel at in art. But that's not really going to cut it if I'm going to print it. In my opinion, to justify printing something and for people to justify buying a print of something, it has to be more than that. So that's really my main goal for 2019. I'm packaging it up and saying that my main goal is to start tabling, but really my goal is to create more pieces that are specifically designed to be printed and sold. So that's done through me including complex backgrounds, drawing more than just busts, doing more planning for my pieces with composition maps and whatnot, making pieces in the dimensions of prints instead of squares for Instagram, all that shit. As well as designing other pieces of merch like buttons and stickers, and if I can justify it financially, then charms or enamel pens. But right now my main focus is on prints. That's what I want to do this year. Even if I don't get accepted into any artist alley, which, hey, I might not. Most of the conventions that I'm interested in applying for open applications in February, and I'm not going to have my shit totally together by then. I will still consider my goal to be met if I can look at my art and say, yes, this looks like a selection of things that you would see at a typical artist alley table, and it is of a high enough quality that I would buy it. Because there is so much that goes into whether or not an artist application is accepted that has nothing to do with skill level, especially in a raffled artist alley, that I don't want to set myself up for failure if I end up just having bad luck. So I'm still going to work hard this year, obvs, but I will still consider this goal met even if I don't actually table at conventions. And the mere fact that that is my main goal means there are a bunch of steps along the path to tabling that I guess could be considered smaller goals. Like, I guess opening up an online store is an art goal that I have. I consider it to be more lumped in with tabling because I see creating an online store as a way to justify investments that I make for the purpose of tabling. Like, a nice button press is something like $300. It would be nice if that could be paid off before a convention even happened, through selling buttons or whatever else online. In general, I want most of my convention investments to be paid through my art. Art is by no means my main source of income, and I don't want it to become my main expense. I would very much like for it to continue as its own self-contained little hobby. Currently, I don't make that much money off my art, but I also don't buy that many art supplies. It all comes out in the wash, really, and I would like for that to continue to be the case, even though, realistically speaking, I'm going to have to spend more money on my art because there are a lot of one-time investments involved in tabling. I'm trying to be realistic with these goals, so I should acknowledge that I'm not going to make all the money back. Opening up a store is not going to suddenly make me earn mad cash off my art. It'll help, sure, but it's probably not going to cover everything. That's partially the reason I want to get this done this year as well. I currently live in a situation where I don't have too many expenses, but sometime this year that is going to change. So I'd rather buy a button maker or whatever else now when I have a year's worth of savings and a steady income to fall back on, since I may not have that this time next year. God, it sounds so dramatic when phrased so vaguely like that. I'm moving this year probably, and I'm going to have to pay more in rent and shit. So I'd rather take a loss in money now when my expenses are lower. Moving on to more non-convention and non-money related art goals, my comic! Yeah! So for those who don't know, in July-ish, I started a comic based on a short story type thing I wrote a few years back. I've been reflecting on this comic a lot, and I think the reason it's not done yet is that I keep causing myself more stress by emphasizing it so much when I think about what I need to do. Because if I sat down and worked on it during all of my art time, I could probably finish it in less than a month, but it stresses me out so much because I keep creating these completely unnecessary deadlines for myself and treating this comic like other art that I make. The reason that I can adhere to these self-imposed deadlines when it comes to the list of pieces and what commissions I want to finish that week is because they're all different pieces. Each one has a different subject and a different composition and a different tone and a different color palette, but all of my comic pages start to feel pretty similar. It's a comic following one person with a mostly analogous color palette. It starts to feel really samey, and I get bored of working on it after a little bit. But I still write down every week that I want to finish a bunch of pages, and then I get stressed at the end of the week because I didn't meet that goal. So I'm putting the comic on a back burner. I want to finish it this year, but I don't want to set a concrete deadline because that's what trips me up. I'm only going to work on it when I feel like working on it, which is a lot of the time because I love the story and I love the process of making comics, but my comic related goal for this year is to stop worrying about how much work there is left to do on the comic so that I can actually work on the comic. Alright, now for some rapid fire art goals that I don't think I really need to elaborate any more on. I want to make more traditional art this year. If this comes in the way of the convention prep, then I will probably drop it, but right now this is what I want to do. And it's something I think I can do. I'm not going to put any numbers on this goal, but hopefully I can do more fully rendered traditional pieces and speed paints and utilize all the art supplies that I have. I want to finish 10 palettes for the 100 color palette challenge. I don't think that's a stretch because they're very quick and easy to make, and I did 5 this year and I started this challenge in July, so averaging the same rate of production, I should be able to make at least 10 this year. I want to make more stuff revolving around my OCs. I write about them a lot, but I rarely draw them. I used to, but I don't now, and I want to change that. Maybe I'll talk about them on my channel, maybe I'll keep that to Toy House, we'll see. But I have a bunch of developed characters from a bunch of developed worlds, and they're really going unused. I want to draw more things that aren't people. Every time I do, I end up saying, well, I really draw this thing, so it looks like shit. I really want to stop saying that and start practicing and improving and stepping out of my comfort zone. This is also going to be incredibly beneficial to me as I draw more complex backgrounds for my prints. I should branch out. I know this, and I've said it out loud, so now you can all hold me accountable. When you say it all out loud in a list like this, it sounds like a lot of things, but a year is a long time. Plus, a lot of those things can actually be accomplished at the same time. Traditional art can be designed as prints, as can OC art. Non-people aspects are incorporated into pretty much every piece with a background, and so on. There's a lot of overlap since these are all art related. Plus, I've already started working on this. I'm in the process of getting the permits required to sell or even apply to cons. I've been working on button and sticker designs. I didn't film it, but I did some marker drawings last night. Even the piece I'm drawing in the background was intentionally drawn on a 4x6 canvas so that I could do a small print of it if I wanted to. Although after I started this piece, I learned a lot about printing that made me realize this is not the best thing to get printed. But it's heading in the direction I want to go. So I think that these goals are attainable. I'm typically a pretty realistic person, I think. Hopefully this year doesn't fucking demolish that idea I have about myself. Alright. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye!